softball game scheduled that night. I was playing softball back then. I was doing the math the other day, and I guess never realized I was only 24 years old when that happened. And then, boy, I said, man, I thought I was a lot older. And but I was playing softball, and it had rained most of the week. I remember it raining off and on, not to the amount that poured that night. But we got up to the ball field thinking we were going to be able to play. And then all of a sudden, about 6 o'clock when we were going to start, it started to really pour down rain. Of course, the game was canceled. I think the Pirates were on that night. And that's what I recall. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to watch the ball game. And so I lay down on the floor, which was my standard thing to do at the house, on a beanbag, and started to watch the game. And I still had my softball uniform on. And that's back in the day when you wore the pants and you wore the shirt and the socks. It was a big deal back then, you know, mm-hmm. Not just an old T-shirt. We had nice uniforms. I was in my ball uniform all night. Phone rang, and it was, I'll call him Bill Crady, but Mr. Crady for this conversation next door. Him and my dad were very close because they were neighbors and they had been friends. And he said to my dad, "Did you look out back?" Well, we could see just water, and it was meandering through. I wouldn't say it was coming through hard, but it was coming through. It was kind of like, oh, okay, well, the water's up over the bank, so that's happened before. It's not a big deal. Well, then he called back about 20 minutes later. He said, "Are you guys watching this? We're going to get out of this house. Can we come over there?" They had their grandson, and I carried him because they couldn't carry him. They were afraid because now the water was starting to get higher, and there was starting to be debris come through the yard. Pieces of logs, pieces of trees, and the water continued to rise. And we looked over at their house. This is an image I'll never forget out of that night. If I forget everything else, I won't forget this. He had his basement lights on, and you could see the water going over the light in his basement, and it engulfed their basement full of water, and it got upstairs, and their house was damaged pretty badly. So we were standing. Now they're all over at our house. We were standing there contemplating going across the street, and we thought if we could get up there, then we would be up above what the water was. But we made that decision so late that we just couldn't get it. We couldn't get across, and we decided to stay at the house. One thing that my dad did that was really smart, the water was starting. He opened the garage door because the garage door was starting to collapse, and the cars were in there. But when he did that, of course, the water started to come in. But what he did is there was a back door on it. He kicked the back door open, and all the water just it flowed through like the creek. But a little funny sidelight story. We laughed about this all the time, even before my dad passed away. Bill Coradis' shed was in his backyard, and my dad they bought everything together. It's a crazy story how they go buy things together, and so their sheds almost looked alike. So Bill's shed gets taken away, and we're standing there watching it. And my dad whispers to me, he goes, "Oh," he said, "hopefully our shed won't go." And Bill's shed crashed right into ours and took ours.
My dad, he had a clock in the basement, and that clock and his workbench in the basement were hooked to the wire that he ran out to the shed. That clock, we don't have it anymore, but when that snapped, it snapped at 10:21 that night.
The water just continued to flow very fast. I never seen anything like it down 68. And we didn't know what was going on around us at that time. We knew the water had to go somewhere, but to know of the destruction that we were about to see, and to the people that lost their lives, unfortunately, we didn't know that at the time.